Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps.
Guys, we got a great story. Story? Wow. I meant to say, we got a great episode for you today.
Sick story just came in.
Yeah.
We just got word from the producer.
What's that? Hello? There's no one here? There's no producer.
Oh, unfortunate.
I lied. All right. We got a great show for you today. I'm excited. But first, before we get into the topic for today, which looking right now could be a two-parter, I ain't going to lie to you. There's going to be a really deep discussion here.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. But before that, Chaps, you have a really good story, which in a way fits into the theme. It's going to be a sequel to another thing we did.
I wouldn't say it's much of a story as much as I've realized something about myself. I've developed Stockholm syndrome for the drive-thru.
Yeah?
Legitimately, there are times where it's usually Chick-fil-A. I'll be in the drive-thru, I'm at the window, and it's something simple that I ordered, and you can tell that they haven't finished it yet, and there's 5 people behind me, and literally I've done this probably 2 or 3 times. I've said, "Do you need me to pull forward?"
What? You started offering it?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I've started offering it.
You're the reason we're losing the war.
But then they're like, "Oh no, you don't have to pull forward. Just stay there."
Oh, well,
I
that's
think
nice
reverse psychology actually works. I've never had to pull forward after asking.
Wait, that's brilliant. I didn't even think about that.
Because then you're making them feel, or you're coming off "Oh, am I being a burden to you guys?" And then they're going to be like,
No.
"Of course not. We
be our
can't.
guest."
We can't say that. No,
In fact, pull over. Let us pamper you. All right. I've been holding this story back for a minute. I meant to say it when it was fresh on the spot.
Yeah.
But before I get to that, is this mine? Did she drop this off for me? No. What best girlfriend ever. All right. My producer has brought me coffee this morning. Thank you, producer, lady, girlfriend. Anyway, this is the worst please pull forward I've ever had. I've had an experience similar to this, but I would argue that the first time they did this to me, they just forgot about me. And then they realized 10 minutes later when I was just sitting there, "Hey, who's that car standing out front?" And they went up to me and they're like, "Sir, are you okay? Do you need help?" I was like, "You told me to sit here." And they're like, "Okay, my bad. Here's your food." Not this case. Now, we've mentioned before, Whataburger is the worst offender of please pull forward.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They'll
Now-
have you pull forward all the way wrapped around.
Yeah, they start their own line for please pull forward, and then you started your own drive-through line. All right, there's a potential I could get triggered with this story because this was the worst. This was awful. Okay.
Bring it on.
This Whataburger right by my house, they're the worst offenders. It's run by high schoolers, okay? So they do sir, I got my food, I got my burger, I got my fries. I'm ordering for me and the rest of the family here.
Nice.
Okay? I got everything except the shake that I was asking for. They didn't have the shake ready, okay? And I forget what flavor it was. I want to say it was one of their specialty ones that was limited edition. I think it was the white cherry or whatever, the cherry one. So they say, just please pull forward. We'll have that shake right out to you.
Right.
All right. So,
And to shake things up.
yeah, I pull forward. Okay. I was like, you know what? Fine. All right. I know Whataburger's busy. I get it. Okay. There's only one Whataburger I've ever been to in existence that has their formula down to where it moves along and you're out of there quick. Okay. Almost Chick-fil-A speed.
Yeah.
Okay. So I pull forward and I'm sitting there. And I'm watching 2 or 3 cars. At this point, 2 or 3 cars get their food and they drive off.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just sitting there. And then the guy who brought the food out to the third car comes to me and he's like, "I'm sorry, what was your name again?" And I go, "Caleb." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, give me a second." And he runs back in. Okay. So then I watch again. Another couple of cars get their food and drive off. And I'm sitting there. And the same kid comes out and he's like, "What was your name again?" And I was like, "Caleb." Okay. He's like, okay. And he runs back inside. I'm not joking. A third time he does this. He comes out and he's like, "I'm sorry, what was your name again?" And I was like, "Caleb." And then he's like, okay, give me 1 second. I was like, "Sir, come here." And I was heated. I understand this is a kid. I know. But I was mad. I was mad. Okay. I full on.
What'd you say?
What's the male equivalent of a Karen? Before I get to what I said.
Oh, jeez.
Like what? Chad?
Well, Chad's different than a Karen,
Alpha male dude, bro.
Sigma male.
Sigma male? Okay.
He was totally a Sigma male.
Yeah.
Here.
So I pulled a Karen and I was like, dude, I said, "I'm Caleb. I ordered a cherry shake." I said, "Look, it's not that complicated.
Oh my God.
I just want my shake and then I can go." And then he's like, "Ugh." So he runs inside and then a girl comes out. She's also young too. And she's like,
What's your name?
And no, she's like, yeah, she did ask me my name again. She's like, what was your name? And I was like, Caleb. She's like, she's like, I'm so sorry. I've had the shake for the whole time. I just set to the side and I forgot who it was for. And I was like, and I took it and I was like, thank you, ma'am.
It's just milk at this point.
I didn't yell at her, but I told the kid, the first guy, I was like, it's not that complicated. I just got a cherry shake. I would like it so I can go.
Well, like, what was he doing whenever he asked for your name?
I don't know. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Like, did he seriously walk up and just get like brain blasted? Like,
yeah,
what was I doing again?
Yeah,
did I just
for real?
Three times?
Have you heard that Weird Al song where he's like trapped in a drive-thru?
Yeah,
and then he's like, there's that kid. He's like, he looked at me, and I looked at him. And then he looked at me, and I looked at him. He's like, and I'm sorry. He said, I'm sorry. What did you want again? And my girlfriend to tell you this too. I also get heated when they ask me to repeat my order because
I never get asked that.
Well, maybe I don't think I mumble. I think I project, but maybe I'm speaking too fast because yesterday I'm just ordering a double dip in a cup for my girlfriend. I say, can I get a double dip in a cup of mint chocolate chip and cookie dough? And then he just sits there and he looks at me and I look at him and he says, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? And I was like,
you see, that's why I always use the app no matter where I go, even if I'm just about to join the drive-thru, just because there's no communication. There's no way they can misinterpret what I say. I don't have to speak 800 things. I can have everything perfectly my way.
I'm sorry. I just miss the old days. Well, I don't know.
Has it ever worked, Caleb? Has there ever been a time where you can just go through a drive-thru? It's not stressful. It's not like it's not going to, harm your voice at all. There's not going to be a back and forth. It legitimately, I don't think it's ever been a good state of drive-thru. The only thing that's worked is curbside and app.
Okay, so are you telling me that they've never messed up your order when you order through the app?
It's really rare.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
All right.
That's anywhere. That's most anywhere.
No, okay, that's fair.
I mean, restaurants will, not like fast food places. I don't know why. It's rare if they ever mess up something. Like they might leave out like a mint or something something stupid that I requested,
But I really like that mint.
No, Chick-fil-A hospitality mints, they're great. They're butter mints. They're amazing.
Really? Never had one.
But they don't always have them. But you have to ask for them.
Okay, that makes sense.
In person.
Because I guess they run out.
And they're great. They actually are super good.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to give that a try. You know what I also really want to try is you can put, this is totally unrelated to what you just said, but you can put salt in your Coke or salt in your soda, just a pinch, not like a whole, don't pour the whole salt
like
back
a margarita?
Yeah. And it enhances the flavor.
Wow.
And I keep forgetting to try it.
I wonder if it actually chemically...
No, it doesn't. Wow. Salt is a flavor enhancer. To me, I haven't tried it yet because I keep forgetting to do it. And I'm worried I'm going to put too much salt in.
You got a Coke right in front of you?
I do. I don't have salt in front of me, though. Oh, and plus, it's a zero sugar Coke. I just don't know. I want to try it on a basic Coke.
Madness.
But I'm dieting right now, so it's like,
I'm fasting fast food right now, so I'd go out and get you a Coke for you. But
No, that's sweet of you. Look at you, fasting diet. Sorry.
Wow.
Look at you fasting fast food.
Yeah,
that's
what I meant to say. Out, but mostly going. So last night I went to a 7-Eleven and got some food. And my gosh.
You broke the fast.
No, it's not fast. No, it's not fast food. Like the refrigerated stuff.
That's literally what fast food is.
That is not fast food.
Bro, 7-Eleven is convenience. That's all. That's the definition.
I'm talking about the drive-thru, the fried food, the burgers, the fries, all that. No, cutting all that. I went in and I got a chorizo burrito last night. It was great. And also, I'm going to go to Quick Trip today. I'm going to get some food. And my gosh, they have some of the best convenience food. Let me tell you.
Did you heat it up?
No.
Did you heat up the burrito you got?
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, dude. If you didn't, now I would have given you some leeway if you had done some amount of, you had to apply your own method of cooking to it. But this fool, he drove to
No, it was in a package.
You went to a
It was packaged.
You went to a convenience store, right?
It was packaged. Okay. It was wrapped.
You went in there and went to the instant food section. You grabbed you one. And you didn't put it in the microwave. You said, I'm going to eat this cold straight out the fridge.
I'm talking about the whole system, the whole unhealthy, burger, fries. I don't drink soda, but, put that on there too.
Can you look me in the eye and say that burrito you had was good for you?
I didn't say healthy food. I just said, the fast food experience. I'm fasting from that because you know what? It was too much money. That's another thing.
Okay, I want to take the next minute to debate this with you.
So the convenience, it's cheap.
Okay, so
It's more about the money. Honestly.
Let's establish what fast food is. Okay, fast food. Okay,
well,
it's quick.
Let me look it up.
Sure, let's do that. So let's list these out here.
Yeah,
it's fast.
Okay,
it's in the title, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
true.
Convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not good for you, but a lot of food isn't. Even you can make a home cooked meal, it's not good for you. So we can throw that aside.
Sure.
But fast, okay? That's the definition. It doesn't have to be drive-through, doesn't have to be a reputable chain. Convenience.
Here we go.
Okay, let's hear it.
Fast food is a term for a kind of food that people eat from a restaurant, cafe, or takeout, where food is prepared and served quickly. 7-Eleven is none of those things.
Hold on. Is 7-Eleven prepared?
Is mass-produced food. Wait, what?
Hold on. So let's go back. Let's list that one.
Okay.
What was the first thing you listed?
Eat from a restaurant, cafe, or takeout.
You took it out.
Where food is prepared. But think of the first... No, shut up. Do you know what takeout means? You know what takeout means.
I think that fits the bill.
No, shut up. Okay, let me tell you this. This food is prepared way before it ever hits the 7-Eleven stores.
So is bro, do you know how many frozen burgers they got behind McDonald's?
No. They still have to actually prepare it at the restaurant to some extent. This burrito, came from the factories, bro. You're not going to win on this. It's not fast food.
No, I think I am.
It's not. It's not, though. It's not fast food.
All right, I need to know what the audience thinks.
It's convenience food. Convenience store food. I'll give you that, but it's not fast food.
All right, what are the other things you listed? So you're arguing with me on the first point.
From a restaurant, cafe, or takeout.
Okay, that's the first one.
Prepared and served quickly. It's not prepared when I order it. It's already sitting there. It's been sitting there for probably 12 hours. And I don't know if it was done quickly.
So by my definition, though, that would include like a Reese's peanut butter cup would be fast food then.
Okay, now you're really stretching.
No, I'm not. I'm saying like, so by my definition of quick and convenient, I could say my definition
you
would,
could say anything.
Include, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying
like
is,
legitimately, I could go get a frozen meal, microwave it. That's fast food. And
yeah. So by my definition, that would have to include any food you get at a gas station is fast food, which I guess wouldn't be. And I wouldn't argue candy is fast food. But what I'm
talking about is the whole, I'm going to go drive food and they're going to fry it up, when I order it, and that's fast and that's prepared, and also it eats up my money. So that's the idea. When I go to 7-Eleven, it was prepared 3 weeks ago and it's cheap. So that's me.
Now, I understand where you're coming from. So what about the food that's on the heat up roller things? Like, how they put the hot dogs on the roller and it's constantly being heated up?
I still will stand by saying it's been there for a while.
Well,
probably all day.
So the only disqualifier is it's been there a while. Well, but it's prepared. It's been prepared there
when ordered. Prepared when ordered. That's fast food to me.
Okay, prepared when ordered.
Cooked to order. That's what they call it.
Cooked to order. All right. Well, audience, please feel free to chime in on that.
Also, there's no drive-through. I had to inconvenience myself by getting into the convenience store.
That's fair. But like as you're pumping gas, and then like while it's pumping, or I just finished pumping gas, I'm already outside.
I don't leave my car when I'm pumping. That's dangerous, bro.
I've already pumped the gas. I'm already standing out here. I may as well walk in a couple steps and pick me up a fast, convenient item from
But then you have to wait in a line. You have to
gotta wait in line at a drive-through.
Now
you're reaching
no. But then you have to look around for what you need. You're like, oh, is this what I need? Is that what I need? And the music's playing. You have to go to the bathroom. The bathroom's disgusting. It's inconvenient. Case closed.
All right. And I never thought of all the things we could have fought about on this show that would be it. I thought we'd argue over something that actually happened between us.
When I'm really fasting is spending like $12 a meal, two or three times a day.
I'm ashamed to admit this, but at the church that I've attended where we fast every year, my thing was like, I'm going to go ahead and fast food because I've spent way too much money. I'm very ashamed to admit that when I fasted for about 3 weeks, I saved roughly $1,200.
Oh, yeah.
$1,200.
I mean, I don't spend nearly that much, but still, it's a lot.
That's a lot of money, especially I could easily do that now, going out to eat half the times with the way prices are right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So another side rant, like things are just really way too expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is a joke Cat Williams made. We touched on last episode on joke stealing. He made a joke about how, like, you know, you sitting there at the pump, $15 would give you time with your car. So as you're pumping $15, you got time to clean it out real fast,
Right.
blah, blah. But now with, like, the gas prices, you put it in there and put $15, you hear that ding, you hear that boom, you know, because you're out of money real fast.
Yeah.
You know, and not just gas prices, but now going out to eat's $20 for you.
Yeah.
I order a 10-piece meal and fries, and they're like, okay, that'll be $16.82. I'm like, that's almost $20.
And then like everyone's doing it. It's like, just.
And the line's still just as long as when prices were down.
And also like even why don't you cook yourself? Well, here's the thing about meal prep and everything. Yeah, you can do it smart, but like even grocery items are ridiculously expensive too. It's like everything's expensive.
Yeah.
There's no like real effective cheap alternative anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you just want to like be hungry.
Right. And let me go ahead and say shout outs to everyone's favorite dumpster, Taco Bell. All right.
Oh, let me tell you,
Taco Bell
savior.
Yeah, they are still relatively cheap. Not as cheap as they used to be, but I got the big box meal and I threw some extra burritos in there with the drink, nacho fries, still $8.
Yeah,
$8. I was like, that is fan-freaking-tastic.
keep doing it.
For my birthday, I want Taco Bell gift cards because they'll feed me for a whole 3 weeks. You know, so yeah, it is shameful how expensive stuff is. And, let's not get into economy and politics, but do you think prices are going to go back down ever?
No.
No.
I mean, like maybe $1, but
Right.
like there's no reason to. Like if
No.
everyone's already paying this much, why on earth would companies want to go down?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the expenses would stay the same. I'm saying corporations would absolutely keeps like.
So at said encounter at Brahms yesterday where I was kind of mean to the kid and I slowed down my order and I said, double dip in a cup, mint, chocolate, like I was kind of being rude, but I was a little annoyed. I was also annoyed at some personal stuff going on. But I looked at the Brahms menu. The bag of burgers, 5 burgers, small, not cheese included, was $5. You got 5 full burgers, $5, a bag of them. Now, the price is $6.25 for a bag of burgers.
Used
Now,
to be $1 a burger.
but now, granted, $6.25 is still really cheap. Okay, good deal, right? However, the menu is a paper menu that they put into the drive-through machine.
Right.
And now, so they took out the one that said $5, and now it's down to $6.25. So when the economy gets better and prices go down, why would they waste their time printing a whole new menu with updated prices?
Well, legitimately, if you're thinking about it way beyond that, like corporate level, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's way cheaper to make this food now, but everyone's already paying this
Yes,
much for it.
exactly.
The only thing that this is how kind of deflation works, I guess, is when that there are companies, smaller companies that will, well, not even smaller companies, but there are companies that will, like they're advertising lower prices, and then everyone starts doing that. Then it trickles down a little bit, but it'll never go down beyond a certain threshold.
Do you think there'll ever be a fast food crash in the same way there's a housing market crash? Or
Probably not. It's like, dude, it's such a mega corporation.
Yeah.
You know, like that industry is, like it's one of those things you don't want to think about it too much. But my gosh, that is like filthy rich industry.
No. I want to think about it. I'm tired of this. Nobody's saying anything.
No, Caleb, stop. They'll go after you.
Yeah, we get a knock on the door. There's Ronald McDonald, the Burger King, and Wendy all staring at me.
With Iger.
Yeah,
He
with
totally
Iger,
would.
with B. Iger, the pizza man.
He's right there, boys.
It's like it's a Mr. Nightmare video where I look out and then there's 4 of those mascots just staring at me. B. Iger's got a baseball bat hiding in his like Pizza Hut box, And then Mr. Brahms shows up. He's the getaway driver. Get in there, Mr. B.
Yeah. Gosh darn. Fast food gets grosser and grosser the more you think about it. That's why
it's not even. It should be the food that's gross to me, that doesn't appeal, that makes me sick to my stomach. But no, it's the groaning pains that are of biblical proportions. You think about the groanings in the spirit, and then I look down. It's not from the spirit; it's from my wallet. My wallet is hurting. It's groaning and it's in pain. All jokes aside, it's disgusting. Okay, I really don't mean to be that person. I really don't. But like you think about how old people are like, well, back in my day, coffee was
58 cents.
No, a nickel. I guess those people aren't around anymore. But yeah, dude, like it shames me to admit that the dollar menu is not the dollar menu anymore.
It hasn't been for a long time.
For a very long time.
Value menu.
Yes. Now, yeah, value menu. How long until 4 for $4 is 4 for $8?
Well, dude, I mean, like, gosh, that's just...
Or 4 for $5. That's still an F. You can still go that route.
What's crazy is that, yes, inflation's always been a thing everywhere, but, like, it has been so expedited, like, recently. What was it? Up, like, I want to say it's, like, been up 30%, last year. Like, legitimately, it's just like, that's crazy.
Why would corporations go down? They have no reason to. Why? Why would they change? Why would they change anything? They have zero reason to. It makes no sense.
Well, it's costs, man. Like, costs are going up. Costs of everything's going up for everyone.
I'm saying when costs go down, they have no incentive to go back down.
Yeah.
They have no incentive to print out a new menu for the drive-thru and drop the Brahms bag of burgers.
Unless it's competitive. But then again, if you're like Wendy's, who's ever going to stop eating at Wendy's? So it's like...
Right. I don't. I'm still eating McDonald's every chance I can afford it.
And that's every industry, not just fast food. No one's going to start. The only industry that is like willing to go down on their prices is the gas industry, because legitimately, if people stop buying gas, like they're in trouble. That's why during COVID they had that Russia started selling their own gas and oil. So what happened was they're basically trying to hurt American oil industry.
Yeah.
During COVID, that's why gas was like less than $1, like $1, because they had so much stockpiled that they were about to lose money if they couldn't get rid of it, because they couldn't, like, they literally were just sitting on nothing. So that's why they were literally basically begging people to get, just to take the gas. So like, that's crazy. That could still happen, not to that extent, but like
everyone has to eat.
Yeah.
And not everyone, but a lot of people are lazy. A lot of people are lazy. Everyone has to eat.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the day you got 4 kids and you're going to take them to Brahms and buy a bag of burgers. Okay. But you're just going to do it. And that's the world. It's just how it's what it is. It's the same thing with gas. Like, yeah, there are things that happen that makes gas prices go back down. Thank God. But at the same time, everyone's got to drive to work.
Yeah.
Everybody. Okay. So what I did when gas was at its $4 was like, I'm just putting 20 in. $20 in at a time, where I used to fill up, but it's like now I'm like, I'm $20, whatever that gets me, and the next time I need it, $20.
I just start filling up at half empty now.
Right, exactly. Instead of giving the corporations what they want, I'm setting my own prices. My budget's 20. Whatever 20 gets me is what 20 gets me. Like, I don't care. I'm not a billionaire. Anything like that. I make good money, but I'm not giving the gas companies what they want, So, yeah, it's ridiculous, and people are driving less,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know. I guess that's it's a shame. It's a real shame. I think living,
and you can complain about it all you want, but at the same time, like, we're all in the same boat. Like, don't act like it's not happening to you, or you do things differently. Like, legitimately, there are areas in your life where it's happening.
A very humble experience for me when I was watching Mimudahard's video on gas prices, and he said, like, y'all actually have it okay in America. Like, it's bad, but like in Canada, things are so much worse.
Also, if you think about it, Texas is one of the cheapest, has some of the cheapest gas prices.
Oh, dude, California, I think it's still $6 a gallon.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look that up.
That's after it went down.
Yeah. Let's see. Gas prices. That's why so many of them are moving here.
That's one of the reasons, yeah.
Everything's cheaper here. Yeah, gases are still $4 So Arco $4 a gallon, Shell $5. Shell's a ripoff. Don't go to Shell. Arco $4, Shell $4.70.
I go to Sam's.
Yeah, no, Sam's is consistently 20 cents less every time, minimum 20, 25 cents less. So the quick trip right by my house is like $2.74, but then I went to Sam's this morning to fill up and it was $2.42. Yeah. So I was like, dude, like you can't compete. Like, get you a Costco or a Sam's membership.
Yeah, and there's deals. I got a Groupon. It was like less than $10 to get a year-long subscription.
Yeah.
And it pays for itself immediately. Like, literally just for the gas, if that's all you want to get it, like, absolutely.
Hands down. You live in the North Richland Hills area, you almost get Sam's Club prices.
Oh yeah.
So I go to a Sam's Club in North Richland Hills and get a discount on a discount.
Right.
It's good stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, pretty cool. I guess we can move on from that conversation now to Sequel-itis, sequel tropes. I don't know if we can fit this all into one episode. I really don't think we will. But
we got 30 minutes or something?
we have 35 minutes to discuss sequels.
Nice.
What prompted this for me? So I had thoughts. Let me reach for my notes here. Bro, these sirens today are crazy. We keep having to pause and play because sirens keep going by. But here we go. So let me post the initial question. What sequels get wrong? Reset character development, cut out fun characters, bigger but not better, recasts. And I put up some examples, movies that would have been cool. Okay. What sequels get wrong, also known to as sequel-itis. So before we even get to tropes, I had a couple ideas already before I pulled up these tropes, and these tropes are actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, real quick, sequel-itis typically is talking about films that I would say, I'll go as far as saying had unintended sequels, like sequels that maybe weren't planned from the very beginning, but because they did really well financially, that's why they're getting a sequel. That's typically like the main offender for sequel-itis, is that they have a sequel. It's not as good as the first one. It's not setting up a trilogy. It's just one sequel, like direct-to-home video or whatever, just because the first one did a lot.
I think a prime example of what you're talking about is Blair Witch. So the Blair Witch Project, right? It's a found footage film. Now, the interesting side note was their Blair Witch actually never appears in the movie. The reason being is because there's one scene where the cameraman's running through the woods and the girl screams, "OMG, what is that?" The cameraman was supposed to look over to the left when she said that and see the witch.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot to do it and only had one take. So
that's the first film?
That's the first
That's
movie.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that film.
Yeah. Well, she goes, "What is that?" And the guy just keeps running and he never turned to look at the Blair
scarier.
Witch. Yeah.
That's scarier. And I love how they don't. But in the sequels, they take that principle. And
Did you watch the Blair Witch too?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Book of Shadows? No way. So in that one, I would argue that, again, Blair Witch was never intended to get a second movie.
This movie has nothing to do with the
Exactly,
first one.
besides them talking about it. And
Right.
they're like, yeah. And in fact, it's almost in a meta way where they're like, no, I just watched the movie Blair Witch.
Yeah, they try to do the Scream thing, I guess.
Yeah, and it's stupid. It's not found footage.
Right. No, it's shot like a regular movie.
Yeah.
Like, weird.
And so that's an example of they made a crappy horror movie and they just attached the Blair Witch Project to it.
And then they show like ghosts and stuff. And it's like, what? And then there's a Book of Shadows. They never have a Book of Shadows. There's no Book of Shadows.
Sir, please stop talking. You're listing something that sounds like a terrible movie that shouldn't exist, but it actually does.
But yeah.
All right, so then you got other movies. So think of the movie Psycho, which has come up on this show. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I'm not gonna spoil it really. But there's a Psycho 2, which I remember talking to you about, and you were surprised because you were like, "There's another one," and not only is there another one, it's in color, which I would argue was not just a bad choice, but a choice. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me go backwards. American Psycho 2.
American Psycho.
I apologize. There is a Psycho 2 and 3. Okay. Well, shoot, we could have a discussion on both on the Psycho and American Psycho.
Wow.
But let's go American Psycho 2. Have you seen American Psycho 1?
Bits and pieces. I've never seen the whole thing.
Okay, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Okay, American
sequel. Was it just a gender swap and that's it?
Oh, just a gender swap. Okay, not only is it a gender swap, but they got Mila Kunis to carry the role. American Psycho, which is I would argue a cult classic. It has a big. I think it's rated NC-17 because there's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of. Let me look.
Because like Clockwork Orange is worse, and I think that's still R.
Oh really? I haven't seen a Clockwork Orange.
Oh, that's worth one watch and never again. It was amazing, but never again.
Well, the same thing with American Psycho. I don't need to see it again. Let's see here. Rating. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. Yep. No, you're right. No, there's R and then there's unrated. I think I've seen the unrated cut.
Yeah.
Because
just director putting in a couple extra scenes or whatever.
And not just extra scenes, like full on sex scenes.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there like, well, this isn't doing much for my purity. So I watched it once in high school, not high school, 18 years old in first week of college. And I decided I can't watch it again because like it just triggers me. But yeah, so American Psycho 2, Mila Kunis, Meg from Family Guy comes in and it's like she's playing the same character type thing. So the sequel-itis there is like gender swap, but they try to make the same movie. and they don't really add much to it. It's not
I
continuing
love
the
it when
first.
they add like the same jokes or like iconic scenes into the sequel. Usually, when it doesn't add. It's just remember this scene from the first one, and that's it.
Right,
Like, it doesn't
right.
add anything.
Now back to just Psycho. Okay, let's get back to just Psycho. So from Psycho to Psycho 2, I believe that's in color.
Back in like the 50s or 60s, whatever that was made, 50s probably. They loved their sequels.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You think it's bad now, but like.
So Psycho 2's in color. They tried to go a different route. So in Psycho, you got Norman Bates, crazy guy. He's unaliving women, and he gets caught. He's arrested, and the guy comes in at the end, the doctor, and he monologues and says, "Oh, he was split into two different personalities, his mother and himself, and he lost sight of who was who." So you get to the second one. It's actually supposed to be a redemption arc for him, for Norman Bates. So he's released on parole. I'm told it's not the worst thing ever. It's not great. They probably shouldn't have made it, right? But in the second one, he has gone through the treatments and he's trying to get back into society as a normal person. At the same time, there's murders going on in the city, in the movie city, and people are like, is it him? Is it not him? And he's trying to prove he's trying to be a better person and he's sane and he's trying to earn people's trust back. And so then I believe at the end of the movie, it's proven it's not him, it's another person, and he ends up fighting the main one. You get to the third movie, and now he's just a killer again. So another thing I wanted to bring up was when a sequel basically undoes character development and just erases everything that happened in the previous movie. I think a good example of that would have to be Terminator Dark Fate. So Dark Fate is the official third movie to the Terminator trilogy now, which there have been plenty of Terminator 3s to try and be, you know what I mean? So Dark Fate, opening scene, another Terminator comes out, another Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out and shoots John Connor immediately, undoing the second movie. The second movie, perfect masterpiece. You can't add to it, can't take away from it. Straight out of the Bible, Revelations. There's nothing to be added to this book, nothing to be taken away from it. No, Dark Fate comes in and defies expectations. So a movie sequel that just undoes the previous film. That's the part I can't stand, is when writers who didn't understand the plot of the last movie, why it was made a classic, and they just write forget the last movie. You know what I mean? I think Force Awakens also kind of did that to the prequel trilogy, because they came in and said, don't worry about the prequels. They kind of undid everything in a way. So I don't know. Do you have any good examples of a movie just undoing the last one?
Undoing.
Yeah. Missed the point. Almost shot the movie in the face. I would argue Dark Fate shot Terminator 2 in the face, you know? So, do you have any examples of that?
Gosh, Terminator 3 is actually a pretty good example, just the first one. But yeah.
I think 3 a direct to DVD?
I think, it was.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even count that. I didn't even get a theatrical release. Let me look that up. Terminator 3 had a big budget, $187 million.
Oh, yeah.
No, had a theatrical run. Okay.
Oh, how about that?
No, Terminator 3 was in theaters. Cool. Yeah, good for Terminator 3.
One that comes out, you ever seen Conan, the Schwarzenegger movie?
Yes. Conan the Barbarian.
There was a sequel.
Now, however, I've only seen the sequel. I actually didn't see the first one.
Okay, so legitimately, the first one's all about him breaking his chains, getting his power, and fighting the villain that, enslaved him for most of his life.
And he fought Darth Vader, right?
He fought Darth Vader.
Yeah, the villain.
I mean, he just came up from behind, just cut his head off. It was awesome. And then it ends with a monologue from Mako, the famous voice guy, an actor actually. And he's basically he's narrating. He's like, and Conan went on to find his own kingdom, and to build, that was his goal, to find his own kingdom. But that's for a tale of another day.
Yeah.
Sequel comes out. They do the exact same thing they did with the first one, beat for beat, except bad and cheesy and weird. Yeah. And then at the very end, they have another monologue with the exact same dialogue. And at the very end, it's but basically the ending is he saves the princess and the king's marry her and my kingdom is yours. Well, that's his kingdom right there. Boom. No, that wasn't good enough. He needs to find his own kingdom, and it ends with that. But that's a story from another day. It's is that so?
Yeah.
That's definitive. You can't watch the Conan series, without that movie.
Another example of sequel-itis, and those are the three big ones for me. One, they just gender swap
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same movie except with a woman. 2 undoes the previous film immediately right out the gate. Okay. 3, my third biggest pet peeve is bigger is better, which is not the case, but it's the same film, but bigger.
This film actually qualifies both or 2 of those things. Ghostbusters 2. You seen it?
I saw it once and I wasn't paying attention. I was so bored. I was a kid.
So at the very end of the first one, they save the city. Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, and everyone's like celebrating, like, oh my gosh, Ghostbusters, they saved the world, like the government dude, he's like, he gets, tossed aside, like, boom. It ends great. They're famous now. The sequel takes place like a year or so afterwards, and they did the whole the city sued them. No one believes in ghosts anymore. They all think it was fake, and it's just like it undoes everything that the first one did.
Yeah,
like everything. Like, why would anyone ever disagree or like say that ghosts aren't real? And so they're poor again, and then they have to get the big gang back together, and then they have to get the firehouse again. They do everything same in the first film. Then they have more comic relief, and they take out all the swearing because, again, a typical sequel-itis symptom is that if it's from like a more mature film, they'll make it like more kid-friendly to sell toys. Yeah. Essentially, is what happened.
Oh no, I hate that so much.
And at the very end, they have a big monster fight, another big monster fight. This time with the Statue of Liberty, which is kind of cool, but still, like.
Okay.
Legitimately, everything beat for beat.
Here's a problem I have with every single Ghostbusters film, though. Let me put that in there.
Even the first one?
No,
okay.
Sorry,
Sequel.
but it's in the first one.
Okay.
But then the sequels just kept
Yeah.
the stupid big mascot at the end. Now it worked for the first movie, great idea. Okay,
sure.
And then the second one, like you said, same movie, undoes the first one,
just so they can do it again,
and then copies it beat for beat, and then big monster at the end, Statue of Liberty. Okay. The third one didn't happen. Never couldn't get it off the ground. The script was terrible, and then Bill Murray was like, "I don't want to do it. I don't. It just right. I'm tired of doing this." And
here comes the reboot.
Reboot.
Boom, boom,
Okay.
boom, boom.
Yep.
Gender swap.
All women. Same exact movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, big mascot. Not only the big mascot.
Yeah,
but the exact same mascot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, they fight the Ghostbusters
also,
logo.
They undo everything because it's not a sequel; it's a reboot. Because Bill Murray is a totally different character.
Yep, he's not himself. He's not the original Ghostbuster.
They make him like someone like unredeemable, and he dies or something. But
dies
like,
immediately.
So which is like, oh my gosh, they freaking Star Wars him.
Yeah. So you get to the third one, and again, big mascot at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you get to the next one, which is
Afterlife. Haven't seen that one.
Okay. Again, same exact movie
really
as the first one.
Wow.
Except they learn their lesson. There's no big mascot at the end.
So there's less.
Right. So they go the Stranger Things route. Okay. Straight down to hiring Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things.
Oh, of course.
But they go the route where the kids are in a small town and the ghosts start attacking. However, the only problem I have is they fight Gozer again and the dogs, Zool. So the Zool, and then the dogs, they're in it, and it's the same exact thing where the two people that are thinking they have good chemistry, and they might, they get possessed by the dogs, and then they do the thing, and it's the same exact movie except they didn't put the big mascot at the end. I'm proud of them for that, but other than that, beat for beat, same exact movie. And they have the scene where the original Ghostbusters show up, and then they fight Zool, and then they say like, choose the form of your, or no, they do the, are you a god? And then they all, everyone looks at what's his name, and then he says yes, and then they do the joke, good job, you did it. When someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Oh, okay.
They reference that.
That's
right.
Cool.
So that was his arc, 20 years. So. Every Ghostbusters movie is the same movie, and I hate it.
First one's such a good one.
It's good, but then every single Ghostbuster after that, same exact movie.
Okay. Here are a couple examples.
I got sidetracked. Sorry,
I
ranted.
Here are a couple examples of sequels that actually not only did something different, but enhanced the franchise.
Oh, can I say one more thing? A good example, though, of bigger being better, is Home Alone 2. It's the same exact movie, beat for beat. But it is in New York, so instead of him taking the house back, he takes back the whole state of New York. Do you like Ghostbusters 2 or no? I'm sorry, not Ghostbusters. Home Alone 2?
It's the exact same film.
It is, but it goes the bigger.
You made it sound way cooler than it actually is.
I maybe.
He runs into like an abandoned orphanage. Right. He sets up like half the amount of traps, and like exactly beat for beat.
Right.
It's even up to the point where they're watching freaking Casablanca in like a different language. Like the family is like legitimately.
Yeah.
Even Macaulay Culkin's like, yeah, legitimately just copy pasted that.
Right, and he's right. And in the Christopher Columbus when he does his director's commentary.
Columbus.
Sorry, wow, I'm an idiot. Today I'm just stupid. Chris Columbus comes in and does his thing, and he does the director's commentary on the first one. And he's like, yeah, they just ripped off for the second movie, right? And he's right, but Home Alone 2 is still funny. I would say.
Oh, it definitely has it's weird.
Yeah.
You can watch either or and get the same experience.
Right. It even has a Donald Trump cameo.
Now that elevates it.
Yeah.
No, but the
president endorses Home Alone 2.
The two franchises I was thinking of. One, this sequel is almost more famous than the first one. Is Gremlins 2. You ever seen it?
I actually haven't seen either Gremlins.
So Gremlins original was like, essentially, this kid gets a magical beast called a gremlin, and there's rules attached. Don't feed it after dark. Don't put it in water. Stuff like that. And then there's one bad gremlin that shows up, and they fight it out for the whole movie. It's almost like Terminator in a way. And then they kill the bad one, and then it's a good story. It's fine. It's like a weird kind of dark Christmas movie in a way. The sequel. Another bad gremlin shows up who's super intelligent. He's actually intelligent enough to talk. He starts creating his own gremlins, but he makes like hundreds of them, and all of them have a different ability. Like that's what I'm saying, enhancing it. So like they change the setting. I don't think they change the characters, but like a new gremlin shows up, and legitimately like they're gremlins that can change into electricity. They're gremlins that fly. They're gremlins that are like vampires. Like there's a famous Key and Peele sketch of them just thinking about the movie. Yeah. Every single one of them was actually in the movie. It's like they went crazy with it. To me, I'm like, that actually had fun. Like they actually won. It sounds like they actually wanted to make this,
Right.
Another franchise where the sequels actually made everything better was Back to the Future.
I was actually just about to bring that up.
So some people probably disagree with this, but number one of my favorite films in the world is Back to the Future. It's perfect. It stands on its own, doesn't need anything, right? Sequel comes along.
I don't like the second one.
Hold on. I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Take out the future part.
Right.
Do you still not like the film?
Oh, no.
Take out the part where he goes to the future.
I like the future part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Most people don't like that part.
Really? Why?
Because it's cheesy and it's like...
It is cheesy.
It's just really to show off the effects and everything. I still love it.
Yeah.
But
that's my favorite part.
I actually love it when he goes literally back to the future, or back to the past.
You're talking about the third one, though.
No.
One. Okay, you're talking about he goes back to the 50s.
He goes back to the present, and Biff has taken over, basically become ruler of America through gambling and such. It's amazing. I love that part.
I like that part too.
I like that part, and then directly after, yes, he does go back to the first film. But I think it's really cool how they did it, how they show him how they don't just rerun the first film. He's actually helping the first film happen. Like he's actually doing things that you can go back and watch the first film and be like, oh my gosh, like I can actually imagine Marty McFly doing all this stuff now because they reshot a bunch of it. Or they used some old footage, but they actually reshot most of it. And I just thought it was so well done. And like no film really did that at that point. Like a lot of films have done it since, but like that was one of the first films that really go back to the first film, use time travel as not a gimmick, but like, an ability this character has to fix things that weren't fixed before. It's just like the future part I love, the middle part I love, and the last part I love. I can cut the future part out probably. It doesn't really add that much. It doesn't add that much. It's just to show off wacky effects. I love it, but it's really not adding that much.
I was going to say the wacky part because
it's great.
Because the digital effects weren't impressive. That's the thing.
Yeah.
None of that stuff impressed me. But as a kid, it's so much fun to brainstorm. Like, man, this is what the future could be like.
No, I mean, like again, it's fun.
Yeah.
And he's basically he's just running around like goofing off, like
right.
Or like falling into shenanigans. Like when he actually goes back to the present, that's when he's actually has stakes. There's tensions high. There's potential that everything. Well, he's already lost, and he needs to like
undo his loss.
Undo the loss,
Yeah.
essentially. I'm like, this is really gripping and cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's building upon the first one, and then they go back to the first one. Do they do everything beat for beat? Not necessarily.
No, I won't say it rips off. No, I agree with you in the fact that it doesn't just copy the first movie beat for beat. That's not the part I have a problem with. I don't like him running around the first movie. To me, that just wasn't as creative.
What do you mean?
He's running like they take the first movie and then they just have him running around in it. Like that's the part that I found least interesting and least engaging.
Really?
For me, yeah.
Interesting.
Now I love the future part because it's just fun and dumb. Like it's like we don't have any of the technology that they were advertising in that one because they were just making stuff up. They were just having fun with it. It wasn't to predict anything like The Simpsons or South Park.
I
You know what
think
I mean?
I think the part where he's like almost running into himself is really cool because again, it takes full advantage of the time travel aspect of seeing yourself.
Yeah.
They didn't do that up until that point.
Right. I can
Of
agree with
Marty
that.
seeing himself. And then there was one point where the bullies are about to jump him on stage.
Yeah.
And then he like unleashes like the sandbags and it
Right.
knocks out the bullies like right before. I like that stuff. How
Yeah.
it sort of like adds little details to the first film, but without changing anything. The third film, a lot of people don't like it. I love it just because I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
It's like kind of generic Western, but at the same time, it has like that sort of like cynical like humor about it. That
Yeah.
Martin Short, not Martin Short,
Marty McFly.
J. Fox, Martin J. Fox,
Michael
Michael
J.
J. Fox that he brings to and Christopher Lloyd. They both bring this really cool, unique energy. But yes, I love that franchise. I think the sequels like expanded the universe in a really cool way, but it didn't take away from the first one. You can still go watch the first one,
Yeah.
and it's still perfect,
Right.
and it's still self-contained.
Yeah.
Like it's great that way.
That's fair. They did balance the part where it doesn't ruin the first movie very well. I think my only problem with the future part is they get Michael J. Fox to play all four parts of his family in the future.
Again, remember how I said they
Yeah.
really just wanted to show off effects?
Yeah.
Like it's cool, but it doesn't add anything to the film.
Right.
It's just like, oh my god, he played all. It's like Tyler Perry
That
did
was
that like
dumb.
10 years later.
Yeah, that part. That's the part I hate, where he's playing his daughter. He's playing his, all
it
that.
takes up a lot
Yeah.
of time, and
Yeah.
they don't add anything to
Right.
it.
I agree with that part. But that was the only part I didn't like about that section.
Sure.
Like I said, my least favorite is when he goes back to the 50s and runs around the first movie.
Interesting.
The third one, however, is pretty dang good.
You
That's
like it? I
Oh,
like it. Like I actually
I love it.
genuinely like it.
I love it. I love it. And in college, the second one was, in my opinion, it turned me off from watching the third one again.
Sure.
So I was thinking like, man, both Back to the Future's sequels just are bad.
Really?
They're terrible. But then I rewatched them. I slugged through the second one. But I watched the third one. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. It's
What
a
was
good
the last
Western.
time you've seen the second one?
I think a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
fairly
Okay,
recently.
That's fair then.
Yeah, and I didn't hate it as much as I hated it in college,
Mm-hmm.
but I still was just like, it's my least favorite part.
Well, so growing up, my mom, it was interesting. So my mom grew up on the original Back to the Future. She loved it. That's why I got into it because she really loved it.
Yeah.
Then she said, well, the sequels are bad. And I was like, oh, so I never watched the sequels. And then
Yeah.
like eventually I watched the second one. I was like, oh my gosh, I really love the second one. And then I actually got my mom to love the second one. And then we both watched the third one together and we were like, oh my gosh, this is like, we love these films. So we kind of bonded over that.
I don't know how you manage that, but you sir are a
My
miracle worker.
my mom told me that apparently they filmed both the second and third one at the same time. So the third one was basically complete when the second one. It was like because they have a trailer for the third one after the second one, which is crazy. And like not a whole lot. I don't think a whole lot of franchises did that back then.
They do now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think of the Dark Universe.
But legitimately, I think they had the entire third film completed after the second one. So like it
Yeah.
released almost immediately after.
What's the name of the guy that made the trilogy? It's the same guy. Was it John? It wasn't John Hughes. Or I don't think. Maybe it
I
was.
think it was. Wait, John Hughes was Home Alone.
Right. No. That's
that-
that's Chris Columbus.
No. Chris Columbus directed. John Hughes wrote it.
Okay. Well, who directed Back to the Future?
Might have been John Hughes. I'm pretty sure that was.
Robert Zemeckis. Thank
Okay.
you. I knew it was a catchy name.
Yeah.
So Robert Zemeckis, I remember him saying like they were gonna make all three films with or without him. So he made the first one. It was just gonna be a self-contained story.
Yeah.
Okay, and he even wrote himself into a hole, putting Jennifer in the car when they went to the
Right.
future. He says that like we wouldn't have put her in the car had we known we were making another movie.
But they had no idea this was going to make.
No. So then,
Money.
the studio's like, we're gonna do two more. And he's like, well, you can't do two more. Like that, we it's a perfect movie. And they said we're doing it with or without you. So he said, okay, then I'm gonna do it. I don't want them to ruin my movies. So
That's good. I mean,
Great.
like I
Yeah.
hate how he was forced into that. But
yeah,
like,
but he's like, he wasn't forced.
I mean, like,
but they were saying like
coaxed into it,
right.
but yeah.
We're taking your property. and we're gonna either butcher it or we're gonna.
Oh my god! Can you imagine what they would have done to it?
Oh, they would have tortured
yeah,
it.
he did a great job. Like,
yes,
doing some. I can't imagine having to make future work, or like work that is a sequel to something you really love.
Yeah,
and that something you don't even want to make, but then like having the attitude, well, I'm going to make it great. I'm still going to make it great. I'm going to make it better. Like bigger. And then I don't know. I think he said like he's strongly against. I am too, of a reboot of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the show at one point of how I think like it makes sense to make a reboot of Back to the Future and how they could actually do some interesting
but
things
not
with
just
it.
not use the same characters,
like,
not use the same
legitimately,
plot
if they just take the idea of it,
yeah.
like the DeLorean, sure, they find the DeLorean, but they don't remake Marty McFly. Like, don't do that. Please do not do that.
You could tell a whole original story.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but it's
time
called
travel.
Back to the Future.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah, and you don't even have to have it make sense where there's not plot holes.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
What makes Back to the Future so funny is the plot holes. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like,
the third one, like Marty McFly dropping Biff into a spittoon in a manure truck. Putting his bully's ancestor into a manure truck. That would destroy the future. You know what I mean? Taking out one of the biggest outlaws ever.
Right.
And getting him arrested and stopping people from dying.
Right.
Like you've ruined the future. Like,
but dang, it's so great.
But it's great. You know what I mean? Like, so take that concept. Don't worry about plot holes.
Yeah,
just have fun.
People worry too much about freaking plot holes nowadays.
Well, they do it on the reason they don't do it on Back to the Future so hard, or even stuff like Rick and Morty, but they don't do it on Back to the Future because they never set up that it doesn't take itself seriously.
Right.
They don't set it up to where like, oh, no. This very specific thing happens. It very specifically ruins stuff.
That is a special magic that I just feel like so many filmmakers have lost. Like, even if it's a reboot of like a kid's show, it has to be super gritty and serious. Like that's just what people are into nowadays.
And that's why Terminator fails so hard.
Right.
Terminator falls flat every time it tries to make a movie to go back and ruin the first movie because it takes the first two movies are very specific. This happens to secure the future.
Right.
And every time they make a movie to go backwards,
they have to explain. And
it ruins the security that the first two made. Right. You know what I mean? Because it tries to get too complicated. Mm-hmm. And that's why Back to the Future doesn't get the same flack. Could it? Sure. Yeah. If it was very like, these have to happen in order to set, they don't take it that seriously. Right. And that same thing with Rick and Morty, the two aliens that go back in time and beat up Albert Einstein because they mistook him for Rick. Like Rick and Morty never took that seriously, so that's why it was never it's not a big deal, So anyway, it's
also,
just the whole thing.
The Back to the Future, like it's an ingenious concept of how they explain multiverse almost.
Yeah,
I love that style more than. I think even they made a joke in The Flash about this, how it's exactly like Back to the Future. And in like the Marvel universe, they say it's nothing like Back to the Future. Yeah. I'm like, I like that back and forth, but it all goes back to the Future because actually what they did sort of made sense. They made time travel explainable in a very simple way. Mm-hmm. They were the first ones, to really do it to the way where like families could understand, get behind the story, like it's not that complicated. And then like you get to the freaking like, oh my God, what even is Marvel multiverse?
No, you brought up The Flash. The Flash is a great example of what you just described to me because Ezra Miller's character goes back, The Flash, he goes back and all he does is he moves, he puts a can of soup in the cart. Right. Okay. Not only does that, it didn't just change the future, it created a whole new Barry Allen, it created a whole new Flash. So when he goes back to the present,
that's why,
his mistaken Flash is now with his regular Flash. It just created more duplicates and it made things so complicated. And that's time travel in a way done wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when you attempt to over-explain it and it recasted Batman 3 times, like, you know what I mean? Like it creates a whole mess of things.
Like, no, cut it out.
Yeah.
It's happening over here. Yeah. Universe A, Universe B. This is what's happening.
Yeah, because like the Marty McFly, he went back and changed the past. It didn't create more Marty McFlys. It didn't create more Docs. It just they simplified it. It was simple.
And does it make sense? Probably not. No. But it doesn't matter.
But my dumb brain can follow along.
I love how he like accidentally climbs in the window like the wrong house.
Right. Because it's his house, but it's the wrong time.
Right.
So,
well, actually, I don't think he was ever. No, he was born. That's right. Yeah. It doesn't quite make sense to think too hard about, but the movie don't think too hard about it. It doesn't tell you to.
So my bad. Back to Sequel-itis because we started talking about time travel.
Right.
Okay, so we got about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna list one trope, and then we can kind of get to next episode. I think this could be a two-parter.
I think so.
Yeah, because now we listed 3 tropes that we don't like in sequels, but there's so much more that I hadn't even thought about it. Okay, here's a good one, and this will. No, actually, let's do a light one here.
Okay.
This is called Bag of Spilling. In a video game sequel, so this is video games, but I like this, and that's a good short one to close it out on.
Sure.
Bag of Spilling. In a video game sequel, a character won't keep what they've collected in the previous game. I was actually just thinking about this with God of War. So have you played any of the God of War games?
I played the original.
Yes.
And I played a little bit of the reboot, but not much.
Okay, so in the first one, he's got the Blades of Chaos. He's got the big sword that he holds on his back.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's got all these really cool weapons that in the second game he didn't have them.
Right,
He just forgot about them. So, and it's funny because every game he just drops whatever weapon he had and then he gets a new one. The only one is the reboots where he has, his axe, his Blades of Chaos, and then he carries those in the next game.
They do this in Metroid Prime. If you ever played Metroid Prime, the first one, Samus starts out with all her abilities, then she gets bonked on the head, she loses all of them. And then the next one, she has all the abilities from the last one, bonked on the head.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, it's just like...
That's hilarious. Because
Legitimately.
in the second God of War, he still has some of the powers, but then they established that his power was drained. So he puts all his powers into the Blade of Olympus in the second game, and then now he's back to where he was in the first game, just his blades. And then he has
in
to
the
learn.
second one, wasn't he like a god for like 5 seconds?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
they were like,
He put all his powers in a sword to fight something, and then he was back to being a human. So he started over with just his blades again. So he had to learn all these really cool moves. But it's just funny to me how every game he forgets all his weapons, and he just has to start over. So from God of War 1 to God of War 2, it made sense.
I think. What about Assassin's Creed? Does Ezio ever lose his stuff?
Yeah, because at the end of Assassin's Creed 2, he's got all these really cool weapons. But then in the from the second one to Brotherhood, like he has his 2 blades, but then he accidentally breaks
break
one.
one of
break
them,
one, and
yeah.
now he's back to 1.
He doesn't have the hidden gun like immediately, does he?
No. And the same thing.
Really?
Same thing with Revelations. You don't get the gun till later either. So it's
okay.
just like, yeah,
Weird.
just every game Ezio forgets to bring his stuff with him.
Oh, dude, I love that hook blade though. Oh, it's cool.
Right. I don't think he starts with it in the other games
doesn't.
either. No. And it's like he has to keep learning again. If I was him, at the start of every game, I'd run back to Da Vinci and be like, "Hey, I need,"
Da Vinci.
Yeah, but in Brotherhood, he's teaching people, so can he ask them for one of the until?
Well, they make fun of him in the third one. They're like, "How'd you lose your blade? Here, take this hook one." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Right." So yeah, that's an interesting one. Bag of Spilling. So I think it's called Bag of Spilling. You remember how we talked about Japanese ghosts, where you hand, I forget what ghost it was called, but you hand the one a bottomless barrel and really umibozu, and then you look at the barrel, it's just got the bottom cut out. So he's like, huh? It's the same thing, Bag of Spilling. It's just like he has this bag of loot that at the end of the game, you look in the bag and you realize there's a hole in
No,
it.
I've seen this trope before.
Yeah.
I've read this trope before.
Yeah, well, that and just like I've seen it plenty
yeah.
of times.
Absolutely.
For some reason, the main character is like, I just left all my stuff at home.
There are some games that are trying to be more creative about that nowadays. Like
Yeah.
more modern games where like, okay, how can we explain
Right.
him keeping does Kratos lose all his stuff in Ragnarok?
He doesn't lose it, but it is no, he doesn't lose it.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, he keeps
Yeah,
it.
I think that trope is slowly dying out. They don't really want to do that anymore.
I say I don't know about dying out, but for God of War especially, like he keeps all his stuff.
I know in
so.
like the old Ratchet and Clank games, if you had save files from the first one, they would give you all the weapons for the first one.
Yeah.
Right at the game. I'm like, that's really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So pretty sick. Anyway. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I think next week we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off and just start going through sequel tropes. So thanks for joining
The
us this
sequel
week.
of this one.
Yeah. This next episode will have Sequel-itis.
It's just going to be 2 women. And like they do the exact same.
yeah. Bro, we should do that.
A gender swap?
Yeah, we should just gender swap one day. I would like to do it next episode, but I don't think they could do the conversation like us. Because we're cool.
Yeah. That's right.
In a male-dominated podcast society, I think
right.
there's, I wouldn't feel comfortable. So,
That's right.
all right, guys, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.